No matter how good your render looks, post-production can always take it to the next level. Hi friends, welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to continue from the previous part and apply post-production on this render. Before we start, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell set to all so you won't miss the upcoming videos. Alright, from the File menu, I go to Scripts, right pointing arrow, load files into Stack and import the render along with the elements. I make a copy of the main image using Ctrl+J so I can compare it at the end. I move one copy down to the very bottom layer. Then I turn off the rest of the layers. Okay, let's start with the C-text map. In this shot, it doesn't make a huge difference, but if it were a daytime render, it would work better. I set its mode to multiply. You can see it a little bit along the staircase lines. Now I'll activate the C-text map with 10 centimeters, and just like before, I set its mode to multiply. This one has a stronger effect compared to the first one. But I need to reduce its opacity, around 40% looks good. This part defines the wall. For now, I'll skip the shadow layer. Next, I'll set the light select. Terrace layer to screen. I'll also reduce its opacity, 80% works fine. For the light select, yard layer, I'll also set it to screen. And again lower the opacity to about 80%. The material ID layer I'll need later. Now let's check the Z depth layer to see which blending mode works best. It looks like soft light gives the best result. But I should reduce its opacity. 30% seems to work well. The further objects are from the camera, the darker they become. The next layer is refract. I set it to screen with 60% opacity. The next layer is reflect, which adds a pretty good effect to the scene, especially on the car. The best blend mode for reflect is screen. I'll set the opacity to 60. Actually, 70 looks better. You can clearly see the difference. And the last layer is direct, which slightly affects the diffuse of the materials. I'll set the blend mode to screen, but I need to give it a lower opacity. At this point, I'll do a quick comparison. There are still some steps left though. I almost forgot the shadow layer. Let me bring it to the top. I think it works best on overlay, but the opacity needs to be really low. 10% looks good. Once again, I'll show you an overall comparison. Now, I want to add human figures to the scene. I've picked these two. First, I'll bring in this man. I want to place him on the terrace, so I'll scale him down. To do that, I need to put the figure behind the railing. So, I'll activate the Material ID layer. Using the magic wand, I'll select the railings. Then, I'll right-click and choose Select Inverse to flip the selection. Next, I'll select the figure's layer and add a mask. On the mask, I'll grab the brush tool and erase his shoes. Alright, that looks good. Now I'll hide the Material ID layer. I'll move the figure around a bit. Next, I need to adjust his colors to make him look like he belongs in a sunset environment. On a new layer, I'll pick the brush tool. I'll scale the brush down and choose a dark color. Now, I'll paint over the areas that should look a bit darker. The hands and neck are good spots for this. I'll also paint a little on his sleeve, but this time I'll switch the color. Next, on another layer, I'll add some highlights, making certain parts brighter. For example, parts of the hair and the top of the sleeve. I'll lower the opacity quite a bit so it looks natural. It's also a good idea to add a levels adjustment to the whole figure. That way, the contrast will look much better. Looks good. Now let's move on to the next character. I'll scale it down and place it in the right spot. I'll adjust the levels to improve the contrast. Next, I'll make a duplicate of this character, flip it vertically, and place it on the ground to create a reflection. Then, I'll erase the unnecessary parts so only the reflection remains. I'll make another copy of this reflection and flip it from both sides, but not horizontally. This way, I can adjust the legs and place them in the right spot. I'll lower the opacity and erase the extra parts again. I'll erase these extra areas. Now, I'll merge these two layers together and create a soft shadow for the character. To do that, I'll select the brush tool, change its settings a little. Now I'll change the color to black and make it a bit larger. Then activate the Material ID layer and select the parking stone area. Inside that selection, I'll paint the shadow and reduce the opacity. I almost forgot the light glow effect. So, I'll create a new layer. Pick a suitable color. And with the brush I'll add some soft highlights on the top of the clothes, head, and parts of the bag. Next, I'll slightly increase the opacity of the reflection to make it more visible. I'll also darken the sky by selecting it on a new layer and applying a levels adjustment. Finally, I'll add some birds in the sky using special brushes. And sprinkle in a few stars to complete the atmosphere. Next, I'll pick a light blue color and use a very small brush size to paint it in. I'll apply a levels adjustment to the whole scene. Followed by a curves adjustment. Let's compare it again to see the difference. And then add a bit of contrast. Let's compare it again to see the difference. It already looks much better, but there's one more step left: adding glow and light halos to the lamps. I want all the lights to have a nice glow and halo. So, I'll create a new layer, choose a soft glow brush, and apply it to the lamps. I'm looking for a brush with no angle. And this one looks perfect. Using the color picker tool, I'll grab the exact light color from the scene. Then, I'll adjust the brush size to match each of these ceiling lamps. Next, it's time for the light halos. I'll select this brush for the halos. It looks good. I just need to scale it down a bit. This step really helps to make the post-pro look nicer and more realistic. For the stair lights, I'll pick a slightly different brush style and apply that as well. Now I'll select a suitable brush for the light halo. This one works just like the previous brushes. I'll also add a small detail on the windows, using a brush to paint in some birds. I'll apply this effect in the birds layer, and from this angle, it looks great. Alright, let's do a final comparison. It looks great now. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please leave your valuable feedback in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next video. Goodbye.